I think it's incredible, really. To watch. I've seen quite a lot of Chelsea this season at Stamford Bridge, and they're just not a team that you recognise or associate with the club over the past 20 years, really. There's been a lot of change of ownership, an enormous amount of players coming into the club, and there just doesn't seem to be a home or a place for them. And I think it's a jumble in terms of some amazing talent, probably some talent that might not work, but figuring all that out and actually the players knowing, as a player, one of the best things you could fall back on is knowing your role at the club. Now that sometimes might be that you're on the bench at the moment and you're scrapping to get into the team. You're trying to take those opportunities, or there's a starting 11. The spine and the foundation of that plays, and then tweaks around it. I look at Chelsea under Graham Potter and now into Frank Lampard, and it's changing every time I go there in terms of system, who's starting. Some players are in the Champions League squad, some aren't. I think it's actually quite confusing to not know your role. And I think every player kind of needs to know that. And at Chelsea at the moment, I think knowing what their best team is near on impossible. And it changes all the time. Every time you go, it's a different system. Centre-back partnership, is it a three? Who's playing up front? Who's playing wide? So I think it's really, really unsettled. And it shows on the pitch.
Yeah, and we're going to pose the question, you see it on the bottom of the screen, we're going to pose the question to Matt in a while of who exactly is to blame for that, because is it the manager, the players, or the management, the people who own the club? We'll be putting that to him, so get your tweets coming in and we'll have a look at that. Interestingly, Jamie Carragher on commentary said it clearly wasn't working for Chelsea after 10 minutes. Arsenal were then 3-0 up at half-time. Are you surprised Frank didn't make changes earlier? Because it was kind of key and kind of obvious that it wasn't happening in that first half.
I mean, I'm not sure if changes are going to help too much at the moment. I think it's foundation that's missing. You can't put foundation into a team and into a group of players in the space of a week or two. It's not that easy, I don't think. I look at other games. I mean, I was at Brentford at home. It was very similar. It just wasn't happening for Chelsea. Not looking like a goal threat. Struggling to contain and deal with what Brentford offered. It was the same last night. It's not really like it's a team like an Arsenal or Manchester City. We're talking about teams that are still good teams like Brentford or even Southampton at home, that when they won that game, Southampton, they struggled to contain or figure out what they needed to do. So for me, you can look at the manager and say perhaps you could have changed it sooner or what have you, but there's a bigger problem, bigger issue than that. And it's that foundation of knowing what your role is, where you stand, and actually consistently applying that. And I don't think the players have had that at that club for quite a while, since Thomas Tuchel, really. I think he had his way, but he wasn't there too long under the new ownership.